So I had to do a spoiler talk on Rocky 2. I didn't want to wait because this one, I love this movie. I thought it was a great sequel, and I did a review for it that's spoiler free. So check that out if you haven't. And if you haven't seen the movie, check that out first because I'm going to spoil the shit out of this movie. Um, let's start out with Adonis and Bianca having their kid, and there's a line before she gets pregnant whenever she's pregnant, where she says to Adonis, like, what if the kid gets my hearing? And that made me think it's gonna happen. And of course, that moment whenever they have the baby and they do the tests on the baby where they put things in her ears, so like they would see like waves on the screen to where if she could hear or not. Whenever she couldn't hear, like whenever you knew like she couldn't, she's just like her mom basically, what she's gonna become, where she can't hear anything. That moment where they both start tearing up was so good, and that was so hard to watch because that was actually a legitimately heartbreaking moment. Because even though they had the line on purpose earlier where Bianca said, "What if she gets my hearing? What if she's deaf?" And whenever you realize she is, that is heartbreaking. Like, it literally made me just sit there like this is hard to watch. Because the actors in that scene, Michael B. Jordan and Tessa Thompson, are incredible in that scene and breathtaking. That is such a really sad scene, and I really love that thing that I didn't want to say in my spoiler-free review. And I also want to talk about the Dragos, Ivan Drago and his son Victor Drago. I love the fact that these characters are so humanized, and they're the villains, but I love the fact that you haven't seen Ivan Drago since Rocky 4, except in like scenes from Rocky 4 and later movies, but you haven't seen him come back, literally. And then it starts out where he's living in Kiev, Ukraine, and he has been banished from Russia. Like, he is gone. Like, nobody likes him after that fight. After Rocky won that fight, he has been banished. He has a son, Victor Drago, who he trains him and brutalizes him, and then his wife leaves him. And I love the fact that these villains are humanized in that way. I think that's incredible, and I think Dolph Lundgren is really good in this. Like, he gives a lot of, like, in terms of his performance, he gives a lot of moments like where he just reacts to something, and you understand everything that he's going through, and it's really, really sad and really hard to watch. I sat there like, man, this is a great performance, and I love how the mother has shunned Victor away. Like, she has shunned both of them away. Like, they are trash to her. Like, her own blood are trash to her. Like, that is just awful, and I love that, and I love how these characters are humanized, because they really are, you really do feel for them and understand why they're villains. And I love the fact that whenever Rocky first sees Drago, like Ivan Drago comes to the U.S., and he comes to Rocky's restaurant, Adrian's, and he says to Rocky, like, why aren't there pictures of me up here? And Rocky says, like, you know why there's not pictures of you up here. And then they initiate the fight. Like, that's the reason why Adonis has the fight. He goes and is going to fight them because they want revenge for everything. But I love how it's not just revenge out of, like, oh, I lost. It's revenge as in like, Ivan Drago lost his wife, Victor Drago lost his mother, and they are shunned and banished away from where they lived into a really poor country. And I love the fact that they are brought in that way and developed upon. Like, it is really legitimately good. Like, they are really, really great in this movie, and I love them in this movie. And I love the fact whenever we have the final fight where, like, Creed trains his hardest with Rocky after the first fight, and he gets pulverized by Victor. Creed pulverizes Victor in the last fight, and I love the fact that Creed is punching him till he might kill him, and then Ivan Drago, who realizes just who he is, he says like he puts out the towel and like shakes it, like throwing the towel, and he says that to his son, like because he doesn't want his son to have any more damage dealt to him, because Ivan Drago's been telling him to train forever, like treating him bad, brutalizing him, telling him like if you like shit where like he's training him but like he's treating him bad at the same time, his own son. So I love that he finally felt the change of like, I need to stop this, I need to stop my son from doing this. Was great. I really love that scene in the final fight, and I love how Creed won, but it was because like Drago was pushing his son too hard, and like you realize the tragedy between them both, and I really enjoyed these characters. They're really well done. Very well done. And I loved after that the ending. I thought that the ending of this movie, I said this in my spoiler-free video, that the ending was one of the most satisfying endings in any of the films. One of the most satisfying, I think. Whenever Rocky, because the whole movie he's wanting to talk to his son, who he has not talked to, and then you realize in this movie and through dialogue that like his son had a kid, and he hasn't even seen his kid, seen his grandson. And Adonis just says you should go to him, you should go after him, and go call him. And then Rocky tries to call him early in the movie, but then hangs it up, like he doesn't do it. And then I love the fact that in the very end of the movie, he goes to the house or apartment or whatever that his son lives in, and this kid answers the door, and then his son comes up and says, and looks at him and says, "This is your grandfather," to his son. And his son, I love the fact that Rocky just says, "You look just like your grandmother," and this kid looks just like Adrian. That was kind of creepy, but that was cool. It was just kind of interesting. Like, whoa, that kid looks a lot like her. That's kind of interesting. But I love that, and I love that they have they meet again, and Rocky has somebody again. If he doesn't have Creed, he has his son back again. I really do love that and appreciate that they brought the son back again. And it's the actor who was in Rocky Balboa, not his real son, Sage, because he died in like 2012. But the other guy who's not his real kid, who played him in Rocky Balboa, and then he returned in this 12 years after Rocky Balboa. That's funny, and that's cool that he came back to do that little cameo, because it's only like a second in the movie. But that scene between Rocky and his son and his grandson was really fantastic. And that was just so genuinely moving. And then, again, it gets even more moving and more satisfying because Adonis goes to his father's grave and does the same thing Rocky did to Adrian and Paulie, talking to their graves. He goes and talks to his father's grave, brings Bianca and brings their kid, and it is just an incredibly satisfying moment, because now I wonder if we're going to have any more sequels, because Adonis, I feel like, feels complete now with his father being gone. Like, he's going to his grave now and talking to him. Like, that just blew me away. That was such a fantastically satisfying ending, because everybody in the movie, I felt like, the good guys got what they wanted. Like Rocky got his son back and his grandson, and then Adonis finally made peace with his dad gone and has a kid now, and him and his wife Bianca go up to the grave and talk to him, and I just love that moment. That's just such a great moment. So I really loved a lot of these things in this movie that just I didn't want to spoil in my spoiler-free video, of course, because that's the ending of the movie, and just little things like the daughter being deaf. Like, I thought that wouldn't have been something I wanted to spoil in my spoiler-free, but yeah, just great moments in this movie, and I'm glad I made a second video to talk about things I wanted to spoil, because I want people to go and clean to this movie. And if you watch this without seeing the movie, shame on you, because I want you to see it without being spoiled. But some people don't care. I care. So I love this movie. Tell me down below what you guys think if you saw the movie, and what moments got you, or what moments made you like go yes. Like, I like the final fight too. The final fight was great whenever he won, but I felt like the ending with everybody getting all those things was the best part. Like, that was just incredible. Really love this movie. Thank you guys so much for watching my spoiler-free review of Creed II, and I will do a ranking video as well of the franchise. So thank you guys very much for watching.